Gurudev, namaste. Thank you very
Namaskar.
much. Always a pleasure to speak with you, Gurudev. My first question to you is today's International Peace Day. You are somebody who's been there in the thick of conflicts and work to resolve from Ram Janmabhoomi to Kosovo across the world. You've been helping to bring about peace. So, my question to you first is that is every conflict resolvable? Is there a resolution possible for every conflict?
Conflict arises in the minds of people, and definitely there is a solution for it. Yeah. And dialogue is the way, usually people sit with the problem. I tell them, you come with your solution to your own problem. Then you sit with the solutions, then, the match starts happening there. And definitely, there is a way to get out of any of these conflicts. For that, you need someone who is neutral. We need people who are like bridges, they have put on both sides. In this sense, India has a great role to play in the conflicts that is happening between nations in the world today. Yeah.
So, to Gurudev, let me ask you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to the US. He went to Moscow. He embraced Vladimir Putin. He went to Kiev, met Volodymyr Zelensky. Can Bharat broker peace in this entire Ukraine conflict that seems to have upset the world card?
I hope we can do that. Yes.
The other question, Gurudev, I want to ask you is battles are not just without, they are also within. So, on this International Peace Day, how can we fight the battles within? Or do we always have to fight a battle to get peace? The question has been on my mind, so I thought I should ask you.
This is the essence of Gita. In Gita, he not only Lord Krishna encourages Arjun to fight, but first he says you should resolve the conflict within yourself. You know, so the first thing is you have to be clear in your own mind. If you are in confusion, if you are in rage, if you are anger, then it won't happen. That's what Krishna says. Yuddhasya vigatas jvara. That vigatas jvara is very, very important. Fight without that rage within you.
Hmm.
And so International Peace Day does not mean only peace between people where guns have become silent. It also means that you have to be more peaceful within yourself. Inner peace is the key for outer peace. If you see, all these conflicts has arisen in the minds of few people with a perceived threat from the other.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But how much does ahem or ambition play? What kind of role does it play? And I'm sure you've worked with a lot of people who believe that their being in part of a conflict was right. And there must have been cases where once they have interacted and they've gone through the entire art of living process, that they realize that this was futile. They shouldn't have been on it.
Correct. It depends on the state of mind. If your perception is clear and your intentions are clear, then you find solution to all the conflicts. But if your perception is based on your limited logic, and so, you have an erroneous perception then. Your understanding becomes erroneous. Then, of course, your decisions all will be disastrous.
But if one believes that what they are doing is right, the other believes what they are doing is right, how can a third person come in and say, listen, this is what is right?
It needs a skill. It needs some skill to do that. Yeah.
Can you share any example or anything that comes to mind for you where you thought that you're getting into an impossible situation, but then possibilities came through? I know you have a vast repertoire of it, but any
Yeah,
one
yeah,
that you can
yeah.
share.
I think we can sit and talk about it, for hours about that. It is pertinent, I say WAR means worst act of reason. So
mm,
anyone who is going into war, they feel they are right because they are fighting for justice. They are doing right thing. Only thing is that when the communication gets established and both sides start seeing the other side of the story, then they start to come together and find a solution for these problems. So I feel that the intermediaries or mediations are much, much needed in all the conflicts. Yeah.
do you believe, or would you agree if I were to say much of the conflicts that we see around us is also because there has been no resolution of ourselves within, that the seed of all conflict stems from a battle within?
It's erroneous perception, you know. You don't see
Mm,
things as they are, but you imagine things more than what they are. That is one thing. Second is you see intention behind other people's mistakes.
mm,
You never see things could have happened inadvertently. You see people are doing with intention.
mm.
So it's a very complex situation. It's not one formula, one straight line. Conflicts have multi phases, and you need to look into all that and then come to a resolution. So it takes a little time and effort and a calm and composed state of mind.
Gurudev, if I may ask you, something which is burning as a Krishna Bhakt, as somebody who's also believes very strongly in the various incarnations of Vishnu, the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam and the controversy around the Laddu.
This
What
is
is,
this is this is heinous crime. This cannot be forgiven at any cost. This is a crime that has to be severely punished, and no such thing should happen again. Temples should be allowed to be managed by religious leaders, spiritual leaders, and it cannot go in the hands of some bureaucrats and some politicians, some industrialist who just whose idea is not to promote bhakti or devotion, but make money out of this. I mean, this you cannot even think about how many people in this in our country are heartbroken. Many are not even getting their sleep. When they heard this news, it has shattered our people. They don't know what to do, how to do the prayashchit for this now. So this is something that is very, very, very unfortunate. I thought this could only happen in 1857, but it has happened now at this time, this age. That too with our own people here is shocking. Simply shocking.
so how do we restore faith, Prabhu? How do we, because devotees would be wondering whether the Laddu I'm eating next is pure or not, or does it have animal fat? The same prasadam is first being fed to the Lord. How do we resolve this?
No, the people who are responsible for such crimes should be first of all punished, and then it should be overseen by spiritual people, religious leaders. Temple management should be given to religious. I have been saying this for last 40 years. Temples should be managed not by
Mm,
what people who are not believers, but not those who are not under religious or who have no
mm.
interest in religion and spirituality, but by bhaktas. A bhakt
Because
will never do that. A devotee will never do such things.
but there are others who would say that in the name of bhakti, there are others who claim to be bhakts, but they are not bhakts. And then there will be mismanagement. So how do we resolve this?
But
The
it's
Ramana Dikshitalu I was speaking to, he said that keep the agamas separate from administration. Draw a very clear line. Those who serve the Lord, do the temple affairs, they should not be messed with, and the administration should be separate. Is that a solution? Or should the state control be devolved off
no,
altogether?
no, see, uh, people who are experts in Agama, they don't know management. They cannot manage temples. It should be other people. There are other people who are devotees, who are devoted, who are good in management. Those people should be interested with the management and should be overseen. The decision should be made by, should be of religious and spiritual leaders. They should take the call on that. They should, overlook, they should look over this management and not just overlook the things as not our, it's not our duty, it's let the management do what they want to do. No.
Do you believe this has happened because also Hindu Samaj itself is divided? Because none of the other religions have state control. They manage their affairs on their own. Nobody dares to do what they have done with Tirupati Devasthanam and with Lord Venkatesha. Nobody will dare to do that anywhere else with any other religion.
I would say the state control, and when the state is in control, different political party comes into power, and they have vested interest who they put them there. And so such thing will continue to happen as long as state is controlling, and it's not, with the approval or say of religious leaders.
An interesting
It's
information is
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. See, religious leaders don't have any control over the temple, don't have any say over the temples. That's the most ridiculous thing that can happen to a country.
interestingly now when people are going into the details, they realize that 19 till 1932, it was a Nirmohi Akhada, the Digambar faction, that was actually running the Tirumala Tirupati temple, the Devasthanam, and the British took control of it and formed the TTD. Now, many are now saying that if it is Chandrababu Naidu or whoever, why can't they decide that we will let go of state control? We'll give it to the devotees itself. Do you believe it is such a difficult step to take because the temples are perceived as rich coffers, lots of offerings, richest temple, and it happens with all the devasthanams across the country, Prabhu.
Yeah. No, that's right. There should be someone from the government who is part of this committee, but should be mainly major role must be for the religious leaders. There
Mm.
could be conflict among religious leaders. Something can erupt there also, but the financial regulation should be overseen by someone from the government side as well. But the control has to be with the devotees and bhaktas.
Pawan Kalyan says, form a Sanatana Dharma Rakshana board. Get all the religious leaders to be part of this board and then efficiently manage.
Yeah, this I have been saying from long time. Even with Ayodhya, I said the same thing. We have to have a committee where all the Shankaracharyas and all the Akhadas, everybody should be part of it. So there should be an executive and there should be a management committee, of course, guided by the religious leaders. Every temple should come under such a you know, purview. Because, see, I have been part of Amarnath committee. I have been
Mm,
part of Vaishnav Devi Shrine. So every 6 months we would sit and review, and we would say what is right. And bureaucrats come up with some ideas. We would put our foot there and say, I would say, this cannot be done. This should be done. So like that, we need to have a religious advice and control of any of these committees, which are formed, of course, by people and as well as uh, government. Someone from the government should be part of it. Yeah.
mm. Do you believe the divisions within Hindu Samaj should also be repaired? Is that one of the causes why perhaps there is, or is our Sahishnuta or tolerance
See,
seen as a weakness now?
whatever happened now is not because of there is some difference of Hindu Samaj. Hindu Samaj has had difference of opinion from the very beginning. It is it is said, Rishinam Aneka Mata. The
Mm,
rishis have different opinions. And that is how the Sanatan Dharma, it's one of the basic idea of Sanatan Dharma.
mm,
So we have different opinions, but they all converge.
mm.
Uh,
Many believe this is not the era of war. PM Modi has said it. You have oftentimes said it that war never brings any solution, and you spoke about acting without reason. But we see there is Israel. This region is heating up. There is issue with Iran. There is issue in North Korea, South Korea. There is issue in Africa. There is issue in Latin America. We are seeing a lot of conflicts all around. Gurudev, my final question to you, Gurudev, is: are people deliberately fueling these fights? Even in our own country, Patharbazi at Ganesh Visarjan, something will happen with a Tazia. Are there elements who deliberately want to keep
oh,
society
yeah.
fighting?
Some people are having fun with the conflict. Yes. Yes. Some are, they have vested interests. Some are deliberately, of course, they are doing it. These
But how
elements
does
have to be shown their place. Yeah.
how do we do it?
Well, there is not one general way, one method. I wish there was one method. You have to go case by case and take action for that. Yeah.
One of the things is that if we can resolve the conflicts within ourselves, and that is something you have been teaching your devotees very, very well, and your followers very, very well. Thank you very much, Gurudev, for your time. Always a pleasure speaking with you.